about your background. What are you
Oh, okay.
doing?
Um, okay,
Your
let me
experience.
introduce myself and then I will ask some questions, okay?
Yeah,
So, my name is Josephine and I live in the United States.
right,
I think I came here like few years ago, and then since I got here, I've worked in Amazon in quality assurance, and I currently work for a financial institution right now on banking operations.
right,
But I did a master's degree here in management information systems.
right.
And so I was opportune to use some SAP softwares to do my assignments.
Okay,
So nothing in depth.
right.
Are you getting me? Just having a few, the business processes, just a
Right.
few. And so
Mm,
nothing really in depth. So
got
I don't know if FICO is the right one to go into. I'm just looking for something that it's easier to get into and I could get good money where I work. So I don't know if FICO is the right one because I
right.
think it's the popular one.
Exactly. Popular and definitely, it has got a better scope when you compare with other modules also. Anyhow, we'll be talking about all those things.
Okay.
I hope my screen is visible to you. Are you able to see my screen?
It's showing a Zoom thing. Okay, yeah, yeah. Opening up something. Yes, it is.
Just a minute.
Okay.
So what we do is let me take you to a small PowerPoint.
Okay.
Just give me 1 minute. See, as far as our today's session is concerned, we are not going into the depth of SAP and all. We'll start with something like this. Though I'm talking about SAP FICO, but the whole session will divide into five parts. We'll have a
Okay.
very brief introduction to. Yeah, you can keep yourself in mute. Wherever you have any questions, you can unmute and ask me. Okay. So we'll have a very brief introduction to what exactly is ERP all about. Then very briefly we'll talk about SAP. What are the things we are going to cover under the FI and the CO module? Now this is too early to talk about it, but we as consultants are supposed to know what are we doing under the FI and what is the purpose of the CO module. So here very briefly we'll be talking about that. And the most important thing, we'll be talking about the career planning. What kind of roles which are available or how can you plan your career? These things we'll talk about in the career planning part. Okay. Now, coming to this term, ERP. This is one of the most widely used term. If you look at any of the companies from the last 20 to 30 years, almost every company has been using some ERP software. Whether it is a small size company, whether it is a big size company, they have been depending on some ERP products. Full form is enterprise resource plan. So we are trying to plan the resources of a company using systems. How effectively can we use the systems so that whatever the resources which are required for a company, they can be planned in an effective manner. ERP automates the tasks involved in performing a business process. Now, apart from planning, you're trying to depend more on the systems so that whatever information which is required for the top management, they can get it in a much more faster way. That's what is another objective of ERP software or ERP. Now, when we talk about planning, ERP enables planning of all the resources related to men, machines, materials, and money needed for any organization. So all these four M's, which are very important for any company, they can be planned in an effective manner if you depend on this ERP software. So under this category of ERP products, SAP is one of the leading ERP package. So you go to any part of the world, you'll see companies using this particular product. SAP enables an enterprise to undertake its day-to-day and long-term activities in an effective and efficient way. Now, whatever may be the requirement, it can be related to the day-to-day activities, or it can be related to, long-term. They can be done in an effective manner whenever a company starts using this particular product, which we are calling as SAP. But one of the major advantage of moving towards SAP is having a common software throughout the organization. Use of this package makes it possible to track and manage in real time your sales, production, finance and accounting, and human resource activities in an enterprise. Now that means whenever a company moves towards SAP throughout the organization, whether it is a sales department or a production department or a finance or human resources, throughout the organization, you'll be having only one common software, which we are calling as SAP. Now, I'll be talking about this particular point little more detailedly as we go to little more advanced state. But as of now, a very brief history about this particular company. SAP is the name of the company as well as the name of the software. Full form is Systems, Applications and Products in Data Processing. We are trying to process the data which can come from any department. It can be from the finance side, it can be from the sales side, depending on the requirement of the company. But the data which is coming from any department can be processed in this particular software, which we are calling as SAP. Now, this was a company which was started in the year 1972. These were the 5 people who started it. Renamed in the year 77, and before 77, it was known as Systems Analysis and Program Development. Now, from here, we are getting into little more advanced part of SAP. Now, here, I've given an example of an organization which is in a non-SAP environment. So when I say non-SAP, the company has not moved towards SAP still. Now, this company is having 5 different departments. So you have a finance and accounts department, you have a purchasing department, production, inventory, and sales. Now, when I say a non-SAP environment, it's quite possible that every department might be using a different software. Like for all finance and accounts related activities, company might be using something like QuickBooks. For purchasing related activities, it might be using a different software. In the same way, whatever we have specified here. Now, what is the problem here? The problem is the company has to buy 5 different softwares, and all these softwares have to be maintained by different technical people, because every software will be having back-end programming, and all these softwares will be using different programming languages. And it's practically impossible to find one individual having an expertise in all these back-end programming languages. Like one software might have been developed on something like C or C++. Another software might have used something like Java and all. So it's practically difficult to have one individual who is having an expertise in all the areas. So at least one person has to be there to maintain the software from the technical side. Now, definitely that is going to increase the cost for the company, because it has to buy 5 softwares, and it needs to have at least one person to maintain the software also. That will definitely increase the cost. But apart from that, every activity has to be manually performed, and that has to be moved from one department to other department. Like here in the purchasing department, there's an activity which is going on, something like purchase of raw materials. Now, this process or this activity will be first recorded here. The payment has to be done from the finance and accounts department, so it will get updated here. Another person is going to come into picture here. Similarly, the same raw material will come to the production and planning side. Another person is coming into picture. So this way, every activity has to be manually performed here. And whenever any activity is manually performed, you may not get the information immediately. It is going to take some time. There's some time lag between this activity and the day when it is recorded in the system. Now, let us say There's a vendor who has supplied some material. That information is not available in the finance and accounts department, and the vendor has come for payment here. So he doesn't have the information. He has to get in touch with the purchasing people. He has to get that information. Now, all these things is definitely going to take some time. Now, that can have an impact on the relations which the company is maintaining with the vendor. Because immediately, if the payment is not given, at times, he may get irritated, or your relations with him may get affected. Now, big size companies wanted a solution for such problems. And SAP has given a solution by developing an integrated software. So when I say integrated software, throughout the organization, when this company moves towards SAP, you will be having only one common software, which we are calling as SAP. You have SAP in the finance side, in the purchasing side, production, inventory, as well as sales. And all these departments, they are all interlinked, what we are calling as integrated. So what happens because of that now? Firstly, the company need not buy 5 different softwares. One software is meeting the requirement. Secondly, the number of technical people who are maintaining the software, because the backend programming is the common. So it's obvious that the number of technical people can be reduced, because if the programming language is the same, I need not have different technical people to maintain the software from different departments. And the third major advantage here is, since all these departments, they are all interlinked. The moment you record a transaction here in the purchasing side, it has, if it has any impact in the finance and accounts, it automatically gets updated here. That manual transfer of data is no longer required. The system is going to update that, because these are all interlinked, what we are calling as integrated. So the advantage, the information is readily available, and the finance people need not depend or need not contact the purchasing people to get that information. The system is going to update that. But the most important thing which you have to remember here is, the software is not automatically integrated. That means if I buy the software today, these departments are not automatically interlinked. As an SAP consultant, when you get into an organization, it will be your responsibility to interlink the departments, to integrate the departments. That will be one of the major responsibility of SAP consultant. This is one of the major reasons why more and more organizations are moving towards SAP. Now, this concept of integration is there in other ERP products also, but it has been used very effectively by SAP. There is no need for you to have any kind of technical knowledge. Even a person with minimum required knowledge will easily understand this concept of integration. So I hope till here things are fine. Hope you are able to follow. Any questions?
I'm good right now.
Okay. So from here, we are getting into little more advanced part of SAP. We're talking about the conceptual areas. That can be divided into 3 parts. You have an application area, you have a basis area, and you have a development area. Now, development and basis, these two are technical areas. Development area is more into programming, more into coding. So those people who are comfortable with programming and coding, I'll say people with BTech or MTech background, they can get into the development area, because as I told you, this is more into programming and coding. One of the most widely used programming language here is ABAP, Advanced Business Application and Programming. So as I told you, our area of focus is not on this. Then you have a second area, that's the basis area. Basis is also a technical area, but this is not into any kind of programming or coding. This is more into administration of the systems. Like there has to be someone to install the software. There will be different servers. Someone has to maintain these servers. The data has to move from one server to other server. User ID passwords have to be created. Now, all such activities are taken care by the basis people. The third area is the application area. Now, this is our area, also known as a functional area. So, we are trying to apply our knowledge in a specific area in SAP. That's why we call it as an application area. Now, when I say application or a functional, I have listed out some of the widely used application modules. You have FICO, that's your financial accounting and controlling. Those people or a company, if it wants to generate a profit and loss statement and balance sheet, so they'll be depending on this financial accounting module. You have materials management. This is related with the inventory management, buying and selling of the, not selling, buying of the raw material, then storing of this material. All these things will be taken care by the materials management people. Then you have sales and distribution, the marketing part. All these things will be taken care by the sales and distribution. Production and planning, plant maintenance and customer service, and human resources. Now here I have listed out only some of the widely used modules. This way, you have almost about 60 to 65 functional areas are there. Now, every area is not required for every company. Depending on their requirement, depending on the business which they are doing, they are going to use whatever the modules which are required for them. So here, 7 to 8 which are required for any company. People with respective domains will enter into the respective functional or application area. So a person who is getting into these areas, like a person getting into materials or sales or any of these areas, some knowledge is required in that respective area. When I say some knowledge, it doesn't mean that you should have an advanced kind of knowledge. The basic or the fundamental concepts, if they are clear, you can easily understand what we are doing here. Because we'll be working as consultants, not as people in that specific area. So when you're working as a consultant, the knowledge of that particular, the fundamental concepts are enough for us. So those people who are working in that core area, like a person who is working into core finance and accounts, he needs an advanced knowledge of financial accounting and control. As consultants, the fundamental concepts, if they are clear, that's sufficient for you. Okay. Proceeding further from here. Now, when we talk about FICO, it's broadly two modules. One is your FI, that's your financial accounting. Second part is the controlling, that is the CO part. Now, objective of financial accounting is to generate the financial statements which will be required for outsiders. Outsiders means the company will be having some shareholders, there will be bankers, the company might have opened the bank account with that particular bank. There are some customers, there are some vendors. Now, all these people will be interested in knowing about the information which is coming from the financial accounting side. Now, the top management will be requiring some additional information apart from this information so that they can take some important decisions. Like internally, for a particular department, what are the expenses? For a particular project, what are the expenses? All such information will be getting from the controlling side. Okay. So as of now, I'm not getting into the areas which we are going to cover. That anyhow, I am going to talk about it once we start or before the start of the session. So this is just for our information that I have given. Now from here, let me take you to an MS Paint document. We will try to understand from the MS Paint document here. Now here, I would like to talk about the careers part. What kind of roles can be taken up, or how can you plan your career, or what these people will be doing. Now, when we talk about careers, now there are three important roles which are available. Now we can go into any of these three areas. The first is you can get into an organization as a functional consultant. So he's going to work, or we can call him as an application consultant also. So whatever is the area in which you have knowledge that you are trying to apply, in SAP. So where does his role come, or what is he going to do? Now his role will come whenever a company is moving from non-SAP to SAP. Like let's say there's a company which is using a different software. Now they want to replace that with SAP. So who is going to take that responsibility? A functional consultant is going to take that responsibility. Now what is he going to do there? Now let us suppose, take the example, assuming that you are working in a company which is in a non-SAP environment, and your company has decided to move towards SAP. They have called me as a consultant. Me means my company. Now when I come to your company, I don't know your requirements. I don't know how the day-to-day activities are done in every department, or especially since we are talking about FICO in the finance and accounts side. I don't have any idea about that. So what I'll do, I'll interact with various people who are working in the accounts and finance department. I'll take information about the different business processes, different business activities, and I'll put it in a document. First, I'll document everything. Now, this document is something which we call as a business blueprint. Like when you construct a building, what do? We don't construct it straight away. First, we try to understand things by putting everything on paper. Like this is my hall or this is my kitchen. When things are clear on paper, it's only after that we start constructing it. The same thing we are trying to do here. Based on the business blueprint, a functional consultant, will configure the software. So when I say configuration, what do I mean by that? I'll put it as point number 3. Configuration is the process of activity, those areas which are required for your company. Now, why am I supposed to do that? Because SAP is a global software. It has got every requirement of every company located in any part of the world. Now, your company doesn't need everything. As a consultant, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to understand your company's requirements, and those requirements I'm trying to activate in the software. That process we are calling it as configuration. So whatever is needed for your company, only those things we are activating. Now, this may not happen in a day or two. It can take somewhere between, I'll say, 8 months to 1 year. It can be more than that also, depending on the size of the company, depending on the requirements of the company. Now, once everything is configured, the functional consultant will be testing also. He'll check whether every activity is working fine or not. That will be taken care by some senior people. Now, once he got an information that everything is working fine, the role of a functional consultant in the project is over. He'll hand over the software to the company. Like if I'm coming to your company as a functional consultant, once I have done this particular part, I'll hand over the software to your company and I'll be moving to a different project. My role is only to ensure that the company is moving successfully from non-SAP to SAP. And then every activity is working fine on. I'll test that and I'll hand over the software to your company. Now, once the role of a functional consultant is over, the role of the second person will start in your company, which is the role of an end user. Now, who is an end user? Person who is using the software. So when I say person who is using the software, example, someone like an accountant or someone like a cashier. So what are they doing? These are the people who are into the day-to-day activities. Whatever is happening in the whole organization, these people are trying to record those activities in the SAP software. Now their role is nothing different. Earlier they were doing the same thing in a different software. Now they are doing that in the SAP software. So whatever a functional consultant has done, that will be used by the end user. Okay. Whenever he is recording the day-to-day activities, sometimes it's quite possible that the system might give some errors. So when I say errors, errors could be from the functional side or it could be from the technical side also. So if it is a functional error, obviously the functional people will resolve it. If it's a technical people will resolve it. So when the system is giving an error, the end user doesn't know how to rectify these errors. So there has to be someone to help them. That's where the third person will come into picture. So these errors which the support consultant will be getting, they'll be forwarded to another person whom we call as a support consultant. Now, what is his responsibility? His responsibility will be to rectify the errors which the end user is getting. Not only restricted to errors, initially, whatever the doubts or what are the queries which the end user will be having, that will be resolved by the support consultant. Now, what are we going to do in our whole courses? On a step-by-step process, we'll be understanding all the activities of the functional consultant. We'll also be understanding the activities of the end user. And then we'll be getting into the support consultant's activities. So we'll be understanding it on a step-by-step process. Okay.
Okay, I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what does the course prepare you for? Does it prepare you to do the functional or the end user or the support consultant?
That's what next. That's what we are going to discuss. Okay. So,
Okay.
so these two areas, like let's say, if you're going as a functional or if you're going as a support. Now, these are the two areas which will take you to information technology industry. So you're getting into the information technology industry. So when I say information technology, you will be working as an application consultant, not as a person with any kind of technical knowledge. So whatever is the area in which you are comfortable, you are going to get into that area and you'll be applying your knowledge in that particular area into the SAP side. And if you are going as a user, this is something which is going to take you to finance and accounts. Now, when compared with finance and accounts, information technology is an area which is going to give you comparatively a faster growth. And in US market, these are the people who are going to be paid very highly, actually, especially the finance and accounts people. Okay. Now, let me come to here. Now, finance and accounts is an area where you need generally professionally qualified people like your certified professional accountants or certified management accountants. But information technology is an area where, despite these people will be there here also, your certified professional accountants, they'll be here also. But if you are SAP certified, you can clear your SAP certified or certification exam, your growth will be comparatively very fast. Okay. The preference is always given to those people who are SAP certified people. Okay. So my advice would be for you to get into either the functional side or into the support side rather than getting into the end user side. Okay. Right. So I hope that clarifies your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Right. No. Now, let me just remove this. Now, as of now, when we talk about SAP, there are two versions which are available in the market. One is the old version, other one is the new version. Now, we'll be getting into the new version. When I say old version, old version. So the name which is given to this is ECC 6.0 We call it as EHP7. ECC is Enterprise Central Component. 6 is sixth version, and EHP is Enhanced Package. Enhanced Package 7. Like if any kind of changes are coming up, SAP used to release a new enhanced package. This way, you have enhanced package 1 to enhanced package 7. This was the latest. And the new version, which is there in the market, is the S4 now. So we'll be doing all our activities in the new version, and we'll be comparing that with the old version also. Like how that particular process is done in the old version and what are the changes which are coming up in the new version. So we'll be comparing it. Focus will be on the new version because this new version is always going to give you a better scope. And in the US market, you have a lot of openings in S4, especially the finance area is having a lot of requirements. Okay. So we'll be going into this particular part. Okay. So roughly we may need about 60 to 65 hours for the whole course to be completed. We can have daily 1 hour session. Okay. So this was something from my side. I've given you a very brief picture about SAP. Now we can spend some time on your questions. If you have any questions, please.
Okay. So does the training prepare you for the certification, or I need to go take another class for the certification?
See, certification, if you want, you can take, there is a certified material which is available. Along with that, there'll be some questions. Like what happens is it's a totally online exam. Some 80 to 85 questions will be there. You can take something like DUMS where you can get about 400 to 500 questions and you can prepare from that, which is, and we'll be covering all the required things in the certification, but specifically for your practice part and all, you can go into that kind of questions. Okay.
So the
You can,
training is going to prepare me for the certification too.
yeah, definitely. We'll be going into what kind of things which will be there in the certification, as well as what are the things you are going to do in a particular project also. Okay.
Okay. So do you need the certification to get a job, or the certification like helps you more?
Yeah,
In
certification definitely helps you more. The reason is
definitely, exactly.
because see, if there's around 100 people applying for a job, and you know, like they have to see your resume, right? Everyone will
Mm-hmm.
say like I'm a SAP FICO consultant, but when you have the certification in your resume, you will be given the priority because it shows that you are a proven expert already. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something like you have a license to drive the car, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
exactly. It gives you an added advantage, and definitely, it is going to add value to your resume also.
Okay, so how long is this training?
Roughly, it may take about 60 hours for us, 60 to 65 hours. We'll
So
be
how do you do per week?
we will be having Monday to Saturday, Monday to Friday. If Saturday is required, we can have it. It depends on you.
Yeah, because I have a training, unless I cancel that, I have a training from May 6th to June 12th currently.
Okay.
So I was trying to fit this one in before the end of, like, I was trying to do this to see if it's what I can cover before the end of July.
If you can start it maybe from the month of May, we can easily complete it. Okay.
No, because the one I'm having in May, it's
Right.
Monday to Friday too, every day
Okay.
7 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
And
I mean, it's clashing with this. It's
it's
clashing with
gonna
this
end,
particular time.
yeah, it's gonna end in June 12th. No, June
Okay.
6th.
What about weekends? What about weekend? We will have it around maybe Saturday and Sunday, 2 hours to 3 hours. Maybe at around 12 o'clock to something like. your 12 noon to 3 o'clock. Can you okay with that? Are you okay with that?
Okay, can this one start after that one ends? That one is gonna end on June 6th.
Okay.
Is it possible?
You
Sure.
can just discuss that with Ganesh, because he'll just let
Okay,
me
yeah.
know. He'll just let me know the timing and all. I'll adjust my timing. So that's
Okay,
something
so
which you can.
the timing it doesn't matter because I was feeling that okay, if you do Monday to Friday, that's 5 hours. I was feeling can we do like 2 or 3 times in a week so it doesn't become tiring.
Okay, I mean, since we are spending about 60 to 65 hours, so if we
Mhm.
just go ahead only for 2 to 3 days, obviously it will extend a lot actually.
I don't want it to extend. That's all because I want if I start by that June 6th, we should be able to end it before by the middle of July.
No, what we will do is where we start, we will have like 2 hours, something like we'll finish it off, or Saturday or Sunday weekends, we can add up and we'll make it up. Can you stop the recording, please?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
So, yeah. So what we will do is we will start the classes